Hello and welcome back to NBA Summer League Daily, presented by the Sports Business Classroom. I'm Andrew Crookes, and I'll be your host here for Night 2's breakdown. After an action-packed Day 1 here at Summer League, superstars were found all across the concourse, and all eyes were on Sin City for a firepower Day 2. With a great slate of games, stars and fans both filed in early this morning, and our own Megan Martinez caught up with yet another NFL Pro Bowler. Do-it-all wide receiver for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel.
It's been smooth.
Yeah.
Good to come out here. Had the kids camp yesterday, so I like to watch a lot of basketball with the Warriors back where we at. So we just came by today, watched a little hoop.
Okay. Now, did you play a little hoop when you were back in the day?
I did. I actually hated football.
No way.
Yeah, I was kind of forced to play because my dad was my coach, so I had no choice.
So what was your number one sport growing up?
Basketball for sure.
Basketball.
Yeah.
So who'd you look up to?
Allen Iverson.
AI.
Yeah.
He was a beast.
He was cold.
How could you not? So were you playing point guard or where were you?
Yeah, I was
Shooting
the
guard?
one.
You were point guard?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just watched the Pistons. Came to see what the Twins was about.
Yeah.
Watching them for a little minute. They really be hooping. I forgot who played next, but I'm gonna go down there and find out.
Okay. And how was the kids camp yesterday?
It was good. We had like 100 and some kids out there. It was a free camp for kids out here, so XL did a good job of putting on for the kids and make sure they have a good time.
And we leave one interview with a unicorn into game one with another one. We started this morning's slate off with OKC against Dallas, where we finally got to see what Chet Holmgren looks like for this season. He had a very efficient 16, 11, and 3 with 2 blocks in their win, showing off great chemistry with their first-round pick, Cason Wallace, who contributed 20 of his own. For the Mavs, it was pretty much a carry job for G League Ignite phenom Jaden Hardy, who's hoping to lock down that 6-man role for the Mavs this year. He threw up 24. They got some help from Omax Prosper on the defensive end. He did everything he could to hold the Thunder's wings in check. But it was a tough one for first-round pick Derek Lively, who found himself in foul trouble all day and honestly struggled to catch the basketball. The second big game today was all about the Anthony Black Show, which was in full effect for the battle between the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons. But it was the Detroit Pistons who came out on top with a tag team duo from Wiseman and Jalen Duren straight out of the Attitude Era in the WWE. 33 points and 19 boards combined, even both hitting a 3 of their own. The debut of Asar Thompson, like Deebo mentioned, was the top storyline for today, and he definitely contributed to the win as well, showing off his defensive versatility, his playmaking ability, and honestly some scoring ability with 7 points, 9 boards, and 3 blocks. Jaden Ivey did struggle in this one, though. Pistons will only go as far as Cade and Ivey carry them, so that'll be one to keep an eye out on moving forward. Now it's time to welcome on our featured writers and analysts for the day from the No Trade Clause team, Aaron Washington and Colin Maher. How we doing today, boys?
Fantastic, man. Thanks for having us on the episode here, Summer League Daily. Looks like you guys got a great thing going on, so we're glad to have the opportunity to contribute a little bit, have some fun talking hoops, and just chat it up, have a good time.
Absolutely. Get a little AC from that 110 degrees outside, I'm sure.
Oh, we need a break, man, in a big way.
Big way. All right, let's start with the articles for today. You guys were our featured analysts, featured writers. What jumped out in day one, and what do we have to look forward to coming out on the site tonight?
So what I decided to really theme my feature piece on today was the performance of Orlando Robinson for the Miami Heat. He's their center. He's about 6'11" with a 7'4" wingspan. He came out today, had a great performance against Boston. He played about 32 minutes, had 36 points, a double-double, 4 assists, added in 2 blocks for good measure, and several other altered shots. He came in, had a great performance in the midst of an injury to Heat young player, Nikola Jovic. He left the game, I believe, in the fourth quarter with an injury, so he was out. Jaime Vasquez Jr. did not play. He did not suit up. He was also injured. So that left Orlando Robinson, sophomore, to come in and really carry the charge for them. And it was a big game against an opponent in Boston who is an opponent. Sorry, Colin. I know it's been a tough couple of months for you guys. But Orlando wanted to keep the hurt on those guys.
Supposed to be the revenge game.
It was, and he squandered those plans. So he came in with his double-double, had a great performance, and he looked really good with his touch inside, a lot of great hook shots. he threw in 3 threes for good measure.
Wow.
So it looks like he's really embracing his role as a stretch big for them. And then he also, of course, had that double-double. So he was on the boards, a lot of great putbacks, and a lot of great stories there. So I really wanted to focus on him. And then the great thing about it all, to kind of tie it all together, is the fact that he just had his 2-way contract converted to a standard deal just 6 days ago.
Wow.
So the Heat, obviously, it looks like they've made a good investment in him so far. I mean, it's a small sample size, but based on what we've seen today, Orlando is looking to be in the race for at least the third-string center position spot for the Heat in this upcoming season, maybe even the backup spot, depending on how he fares in a battle against new signee Thomas Bryant.
Wow.
They always seem to find those guys, don't they?
I was
They
just
sure
going to
do.
say,
Crazy.
so yet another chess piece to add to the board for the
Yeah.
4th rematch with Boston.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
They
It's
always need some
unbelievable.
size.
Yeah.
They
How
do.
about you, Colin? What do you got for today?
Yeah, just a couple of honorable mentions in that same game. Jordan Walsh, he ended up, he's known as the defensive specialist, right?
Oh, yeah.
He went 4 for 6 from 3
Wow.
today. So he, his shooting performance was way above expectations. If they can keep that up in any way, shape, or form, he'll be in the rotation. Both, they need their defense now that Marcus Smart is gone and Grant Williams is gone. So we'll see if he can keep that up. And then you mentioned Chet Holmgren. He's in full force now. He looks like he's doing fine over the past few games, even out in California. So if they get him back and he's performing like this, they're going to take a big step forward in the regular season.
He fits so well with Shea and Giddey and J-Dub and Dort, and I think he's the final piece to what they're trying to do. Actually, sleeper, he is my surprise pick for Rookie of the Year. I know we get
Okay.
all the hype about Wemby right now. Scoot is going to be incredible, but people forget Chet's still a rookie, and he had a whole year of NBA body training and practice to get ready for this moment, and he's going to be playing for a playoff team.
Exactly, yeah.
I like his chances, and he looked great today. I mean,
Yeah.
the shot's ready to
He
go,
did,
too.
and he had a great summer league last year too
He did.
before the injury. So
It's so funny. Everybody's worried about summer league injuries, and then Chet plays the whole summer league, no problem.
he's not
and
even
gets
playing
hurt
the
in a
summer
true
league.
league,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
It's incredible. All right, so let's continue with the offseason, right? We talk about Miami's new piece. There might be one on the way. We're not one to break news here. But of the summer's big moves, what have been your favorite and least favorite so far?
For me, I would say my least favorite move here so far has been, or at least one of them, the Jeremy Grant signing for Portland. In the midst of everything that's going on with them and in the rumors with Damian Lillard, who's to say they knew about his request before the signing? Either way, it just seemed like an overpay. You're looking at a guy that is a great contributor at the 4 position. He's very versatile. He brings a lot to the table as far as being able to switch pretty much 1 through 4, maybe even pick up some smaller 5s. Contributed with the 3-pointer. He averaged 20 points a game not too long ago, so he has a scoring ability. But when you look at a guy that's in his later 20s, he doesn't really fit the timeline as seamlessly as some other guys with that team. And you're looking at an average annual value of over $30 million with a guy that's pretty comparable to a guy named Aaron Gordon. I don't know if that name rings a bell.
Oh, the guy who
NBA
took
champion.
his job in Denver that Jeremy
Yeah.
Grant had before he said, I want to score 20 a game?
The very same.
Oh, funny how that works.
And you look at his salary, and he's making about $10 million less per year. And you look at their skill sets; they're very similar. And one could even argue that Gordon's the superior player. So I looked at that contract, especially in the midst of these trade rumors with Damian Lillard. It makes even less sense now. For a guy to be making that much money, he's not a star. At best, he's your 3rd best player in a championship team, and he's not going to be able to carry you in the ways that you would expect a guy making that much money to do. So I was a little bit disappointed in that signing. Even the money wasn't the biggest thing for him. It was the years.
Oh.
The 5 years, man, just absolutely brutal as far as having to pay a guy that much money for that long. And to my knowledge, there are no options in that deal either. So it's not like you're getting off the hook any earlier. So I was a little bit disappointed in that one. And I just think that was a bit of a mismanagement of assets for Portland, especially considering the kind of crossroads situation they're in right now.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I mean, you see 160 for a guy who's known as a defensive specialist and, like you said, at best, a B minus kind of guy for a championship team is just too much. What about you, Colin? How you feeling?
yeah, so I was going to go on the positive side and bring up Bruce Brown's signing.
Yes.
I just think that's absolutely perfect for the Indiana Pacers. It's $22.5 million over 2 years. Well, $43 million over 2 years, and I just think he fits right in perfectly for what they need.
Yep.
He obviously brings championship level talent. He brings experience, and he's going to fit into a starting rotation. And you talk about Jeremy Grant making over $30 million a year. This guy's going to provide an even greater contribution to an Indiana Pacers team. And he's only at $22.5 million, and then you only have to commit 2 years to him. So I think it was a great signing. The only thing that the downside is if you wanted to link on that third year so you could have full bird rights over him in the future, right, if he really outperforms it. But, again, a low risk, really high reward, I think, for a team that's right on the cusp, a young team that needed some experience. I think he fits in perfectly.
I'm with you 100%, especially cutting off Halliburton. I mean, we know what he does, the wizard with the passing. His cutting and defense is really going to contribute to that team this year. They're going to be fun to watch.
Definitely.
Speaking of fun to watch, I think I'm going to start with Colin in this one. Who are your sleeper teams in each conference?
Well, let's stick with the Indiana Pacers.
Love it.
I think with Bruce Brown, the trade with Obi Toppin, I think they have a deep enough team. And if Halliburton takes that next step, Benedict Mathurin and Miles Turner, I mean, they're deep enough. And if all those young guys can take that next step forward, I think that they can really become, up into a playoff echelon team. I think they'll be the team in the East that makes that biggest jump.
I'm with you. Aaron?
For me, I'm going to go with I'll go Eastern Conference as well to kind of get this going. I'm looking at Orlando. I know that's a team we brought
man
in
after my own heart.
Yes,
I
sir.
love it.
Yes, sir. I'll carry the charge, man. I'll keep it going for you. I look at their roster. I mean, you just got done talking about Anthony Black and what he brings to the table, what he contributed today in summer league action, and then you look at Jet Howard, picking him up, and the ability for him to be a versatile wing, a guy that can knock down outside shots, and then also bring a little bit to the table defensively. And then it just seems like their core is just coming together very nicely. Number 1 pick from last year, 2022, Paolo Banchero.
I love Paolo.
An absolute beast of a man at 6'10". What is he, 240, something like that, 250? I mean,
he's grown man size already.
He's insane. So I just look at those wings that they have in place already. They're just stocked at guard. When you're looking at Cole Anthony and you're looking at Fultz and everybody that they have on that team at all positions, they're so deep. So I think that they've kind of graduated from that tier to where they're a doormat. They've graduated into that tier where they're a playoff sleeper. I think they're going to be in the race for a play-in spot. Maybe they won't make the playoffs, but I mean they're going to give teams an absolute dogfight every night just because of the depth that they have. I think their defense is going to be very strong, and they just know how to play the game of basketball. They're growing together, and it's really showing throughout the years and as the record continues to improve.
They seem to get along really well, too. The vibes are high in Orlando. They came in, 8 or 9 deep today and all sat courtside at the game. The Wagner brothers, you've got Jalen, you've got Colt. That's another guy we didn't even mention.
Yeah. Right.
What can we see from Suggs this year? He finally started to put it together at the end of last year. All right, so how about the West?
No, I was going to jump on OKC. I mean, with Chet Holmgren coming back. I liked what they did last year. I love SGA. I think he's probably the most underrated player in the league.
I might have to go BI and push back on that. I think Shea elevated to superstar status last year. I think Ingram's the most underrated.
Well, that's fine. But either way, I think with Chet Holmgren, coming in full force, I think that they're the team to look at. Again, another young team. They have a very good young coach. I think they're going to take that next step and again, take that biggest jump and be into the echelon of a playoff team.
You think top 6 or playing contender again?
I top 6, right around top 6 because the West is so deep and the moves that all those other teams made. I mean, they all got better too, right? So what they're all looking to do is get better from within. A lot of those other teams went and got better from without. So we'll see. We'll see. It's a deep West.
What about you?
I'm going with Utah for a kind of a sleeper team.
I like it.
So they made that trade for John Collins. Obviously, they're looking to get a little deeper at the front-court position. Walker Kessler is an absolute animal when it comes to rim protection. He brings a lot to that team. Their floor is raised as a result of having him in the fold. And then they're stocking up at guard as well, bringing in Keontae George to fortify that backcourt position. I love what I saw from him in Summer League so far, just as a bigger guard that can contribute on the boards, do a little bit of everything. It looks like he's going to be able to give you some points, give you some rebounds, play a little bit of defense, just be a kind of a do-it-all guy. And he has a perfect role model in Mike Conley as a guy that's been around the league for ages, and he just plays the game the right way. He's a little bit of an understated guy, but I mean, when you're listening to him, when he talks, you have to listen to what he's saying. He's been here long enough. He's a great vet. Taylor Hendricks coming in for the guard or for the wing position. It looks like they're filling out that roster pretty well, and I'm just done sleeping on them. I'm done just assuming that they're going to have a down season. We saw what they did last year, and they almost broke into that top 8. And I think they have a chance to be right there again and maybe even break through this time. So they have a lot going for them. And I think Utah fans have a lot to look forward to with the way this rebuild has been. I wouldn't even call it a rebuild. I'd say a retool. It's been
It's a Danny
a
Ainge
season
special,
or two.
right?
Yep.
Don't have to be bad if you just get good right away.
That's right.
Reload on those picks and start it up.
And their
So-
season was so interesting last year too.
So
Like they were
fun.
so impressive early. Somehow they still end up in the bottom 4, you know, or
Yeah.
Just
right? So
perfectly
it's
executed.
just
right?
really, really interesting how their season went. But yeah, that's a hopeful team, and another one with a really good young coach.
I was
too.
just going to say the same thing. You spoke about Dagenhall. Hardy,
yeah.
his exact
He's right there.
counterpart in
Great
Utah.
job.
And they reached out and signed Paul Reed to an offer sheet today.
Oh,
We
yeah?
might have
Yeah.
B-Ball Paul
B-Ball
up in
Paul,
the
let's
mountains
go.
for the season.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's
And that was an
crazy
interesting
exciting, right?
contract too. Is the
Yeah.
second and third years aren't fully guaranteed, and it's based on how far they get in the playoffs, which is really
Which
That's some great
I think it's
incentive.
funny because it's Philly. They have to make the second round, not the conference
Yeah.
finals,
Right.
for those to be guaranteed, right?
Yep,
we all
yep. It's like
a
we all
troll.
know what Philly loves to do.
That's right.
Oh man! All right, so last one for you guys. What are the first thing on your mind for the rest of the week? Who's the guy you want to see, or the team you need to get eyes on?
For me, I'm going to go Leonard Miller for this one.
He played great yesterday.
He really did.
18-11, and the ball handling was on full display.
Absolutely. I mean, I hadn't arrived yet in Vegas, so I was watching him from afar. But just the way, like you said, he handles the ball at his size, just being like a point forward. Really, the only thing he needs to just get better about is his shot. If that comes around, I mean, you're looking at a great do-it-all guard. It looked like he'd been here before. He's done this all before, you know, as a guy that, I mean, he's a rookie. He was drafted a little bit later on. I'm sure he's got that chip on his shoulder. So he comes in as somebody that was drafted a little bit lower. You know, he's down there, I believe, in the 20s. So, you know, I think the Wolves got a steal based on what we saw yesterday, based on, you know, some of the things he brings to the table, especially in this era of the NBA. I think he wouldn't be valued as high if it was 2010, something like that. But in 2023, if you have a bigger guy that can handle the ball and make plays for others, get into the paint, have an NBA-ready body day one, that's just, it's so much of a great thing to have at a wing position like the 3 or the 4. So I'm really looking forward to what he's got in store for the rest of the Timberwolves run. And it looks like they got a guy in the fold that could really help them out. I mean, I think they really need it with looks like they're a little bit overstocked at a certain position. So a great wing would be a great thing for them.
No, everybody needs 3 centers. Come on. We all
Oh,
know
yeah.
that. We
Well,
all
why
want to
not?
spend $100 million a year on just centers. I'm
Sure.
sorry, I was daydreaming a little bit there. I was thinking about a defensive lineup of Anthony Edwards, Jalen McDaniels, and Leonard Miller.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just salivating a little bit.
They'll
What
be
about you, Colin?
they'll be interesting in the West too, just to see what they if they can stay healthy and see what they can do.
I feel like
Leonard
Cat's
Miller
got to
steps up.
go at some point, right? That's the guy.
Something's
You
gotta
can't
go.
give up on Gobert at this early, even though we all know, you know, there was a little bit of an overpay.
A bit.
I would say so.
Yeah. I'm going to go with another Miller, Brandon Miller. I
Nice.
mean, I just think with the criticism that the Hornets have gotten around the league for not taking Scoot, I think, you know, focusing on him and seeing what he can do. His first game, he wasn't extremely exciting. He hit a couple shots, but I really want to see some aggression from him as a shooter and a defender. And I just want to see if he can start proving people wrong and get Charlotte excited for the regular season. And just the whole backstory as far as what he went through in college, you know, them taking him ahead of Scoot, and then as far as, you know, being scouted by Jordan, who just sold his stake, but, you know, there's stories about him tooling on him at, you know, when they were trying him out, not calling him a shooter and, you know, trash talking him. But Brandon Miller took it in stride. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if he can kind of start taking over some of these games. And then, again, like I said, get Charlotte excited for once to move forward into the regular season.
Yeah.
You know, for the last pick Michael's ever going to make for that franchise, I think it's pretty funny that he picked somebody who didn't have LeBron as his GOAT. I think that may have been even more of a factor, right?
Right.
Oh, man. Well,
sure.
thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
everybody at the No Trade Clause team does such a great job. I mean, let me
Thank you.
tell the people out
Thank
there,
you.
throw the ESPN trade machine away. Nobody does it better than these guys.
Thank
And they have an incredible podcast, too, the No Trade Clause podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you all for stopping in for Summer League Daily. Check out tonight's show and all the amazing work our SBC team is going to do this week and this summer right at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. I'm Andrew Crookes. Have a great night, and thanks for stopping by.